You are white-knuckling the steering wheel at 11 o'clock at night. The highway is a blur of reflected taillights and oncoming headlights exploding across a windshield that your wipers are completely failing to clear. And the rain is not even that heavy. It is a moderate downpour, the kind of rain that should be manageable, but instead, your wipers are slapping back and forth at maximum speed and accomplishing almost nothing except smearing a greasy, distorted film across the glass that makes every oncoming headlight bloom into a blinding starburst that swallows up the lane markings entirely, and your heart is hammering because you genuinely cannot tell where the edge of the road is. You cannot see the car in front of you clearly enough to judge stopping distance, and the entire driving experience has collapsed into a controlled panic where you are relying on muscle memory and luck more than actual vision. And the absolute worst part of this situation, the part that makes it genuinely infuriating rather than just frightening, is that you spent $25 on a premium ceramic glass sealant 3 weeks ago. You watched the tutorial video, you followed every single step correctly, you cleaned the glass with the included prep wipe, you applied the product in overlapping circular motions, you let it cure for the recommended time, and for about 4 days, it was genuinely incredible. Water was beating up and flying off the glass like mercury on a hot pan, and you thought you had finally solved the rain visibility problem for good, and then slowly, invisibly, without any warning whatsoever, it started degrading. And by day 10, the beating was inconsistent, and by day 14, there were patches where water was sheeting flat and sticking to the glass. And by week 3, you were right back to this exact nightmare situation, white-knuckling through the rain with wipers on maximum doing absolutely nothing, except now you also have wipers that are stuttering and chattering aggressively across the glass with that horrible, rhythmic squeaking sound that every driver in your car can hear over the music, over the rain, over everything. Because the ceramic coating has left a tacky residue layer that the rubber wiper blades are dragging across rather than gliding cleanly. And those blades are now being destroyed prematurely because they were never designed to operate against a chemically altered glass surface that offers uneven friction. So, not only did the $25 product fail to protect your vision, it is actively damaging a separate component of your car that costs money to replace. And here is what nobody in the automotive detailing world wants to say out loud. Here is the thing that the premium product brands have structured their entire business model around making sure you never figure out. Those expensive glass sealants are not engineered to last. They are engineered to perform spectacularly for a short window of time and then degrade at a predictable rate that sends you back to the store to buy another bottle, because a product that solved your rain visibility problem permanently would be a product you only ever bought once, and a product you only bought once is a terrible business. So instead, they engineer a product that wears off, that leaves residue, that creates new problems like wiper chatter and blade degradation, and they package all of this in a sleek matte black bottle with carbon fiber graphic accents and words like nanoceramic and hydrophobic matrix technology printed on the label in a font that looks like it belongs on a spacecraft. And they charge $25 for roughly 40 milliliters of liquid that costs them pennies to manufacture. And the markup on these products is not 10%, it is not even 100%. The markup is routinely in excess of 1,000% because they are taking basic surfactant chemistry, diluting it, rebranding it with automotive specific marketing language, and selling it back to you at a price point that implies pharmaceutical grade engineering. And every time your coating wears off and you go back and buy another bottle, they win again. And they have been winning this cycle for years while you have been losing visibility, losing wiper blades, and losing money. And the solution to this entire manufactured problem is sitting in your kitchen right now. It costs approximately $2. You have probably had it under your sink for months, and it performs the rain repellency function not just as well as those premium products, but in a way that is chemically superior in the specific context of driving visibility. Because it does not just repel water, it eliminates the optical distortion problem that even the best hydrophobic glass coatings fundamentally cannot solve. And that product is standard dishwasher rinse aid. A completely ordinary household product that you can buy at any grocery store for around $2. And before you close this video, thinking that sounds too simple to be real, let me walk you through the exact chemistry of why this works. Because understanding the science is what makes you realize that the expensive automotive products are not just overpriced, they are actually solving the wrong problem in the wrong way. And here is what that means in practical terms. When an automotive ceramic glass sealant or a hydrophobic rain repellent coats your windshield, it creates a surface that causes water to form into tight beads. The contact angle of the water on the glass increases dramatically, which means the water molecules pull together into rounded droplets rather than spreading flat. And at highway speeds, those droplets do get pushed off the glass relatively quickly, which is why the product feels impressive for the first few days. But here is the optical physics problem that those products never address and never advertise. Those water beads that are sitting on your glass, even briefly, even for a fraction of a second, are curved lenses. They are tiny glass-like spheres of water with a refractive index that bends light passing through them. And when an oncoming car's headlights hit a windshield covered in hundreds of those beads, each individual bead refracts and scatters that light, creating the exact starburst bloom effect that makes night driving in rain so dangerous. So, even when the product is working at its absolute best, even when the water is beating beautifully, you are still driving through a windshield covered in tiny light distorting lenses, and the product that is supposed to be protecting your vision is actually creating a visibility hazard that would not exist if the water simply sheeted off flat. And this is precisely what dishwasher rinse aid does, and it does it through a completely different mechanism. Rinse aid contains powerful non-ionic surfactants, and the specific job of a surfactant is to attack surface tension. Surface tension is the molecular cohesive force that pulls water molecules together and causes them to form beads in the first place. Dishwasher rinse aid is specifically engineered to be as efficient as possible at destroying that surface tension because its entire purpose in a dishwasher is to prevent water spots on glassware by making water sheet off perfectly flat, rather than beading and drying into droplets that leave mineral deposits. And when you apply that same chemistry to your windshield, the surface tension of the water contacting the glass is broken so completely that the water cannot form beads at all. Instead, it spreads into a continuous flat sheet, and then gravity and wind pull that flat sheet of water directly off the glass rather than leaving scattered beads clinging to the surface. And a flat sheet of water on glass has almost zero refractive effect on light passing through it. So those incoming headlights that used to bloom into blinding starbursts now pass through the glass clearly because there are no curved water lenses to scatter and distort them. And your vision at night in heavy rain improves not just because the glass is clearer, but because the fundamental optical quality of the light coming through the glass is protected in a way that bead-forming hydrophobic products cannot achieve. And now, let us take a moment to fully dismantle the $25 ceramic glass kit because it deserves a thorough examination. These kits typically include a small bottle of the actual coating compound, a prep wipe or spray that usually contains isopropyl alcohol, and a microfiber applicator cloth, and the prep step, the alcohol wipe that they tell you is essential to proper adhesion, is where the self-defeating design of these products begins, because that alcohol prep wipe is also what your windshield wiper fluid does every single time your wipers run. Standard windshield washer fluid contains isopropyl alcohol or ethanol as primary ingredients because alcohol is what cuts through road grime and insect residue. And that same alcohol that makes your washer fluid effective at cleaning is the chemical enemy of every ceramic or hydrophobic glass coating ever manufactured. Every time you hit your washer fluid button, you are spraying an alcohol-based solvent directly onto a coating that was applied with the specific instruction to avoid alcohol contact, and you might use your washer fluid 10 or 15 times on a single rainy commute. So within days of applying a $25 ceramic coating, you are actively chemically stripping it with your own washer fluid every time you use it, which is why these coatings develop those patchy, uneven degradation patterns where some areas of the glass retain the hydrophobic effect while other areas revert to bare glass. And that patchiness is where the wiper chatter problem originates, because your wiper blade is traveling across a glass surface that alternates between sections with the slippery ceramic coating and sections of bare glass. And the friction differential between those sections causes the rubber blade to stick, skip, and stutter as it transitions between them, dragging the blade edge in a way it was not designed to operate, accelerating wear on the blade's wiping edge, and ultimately leaving streaks where the damaged portions of the blade no longer make proper contact with the glass. So, a product you bought to improve your driving safety is, through the process of its own degradation, directly damaging your wiper blades and reducing their effectiveness, meaning the $25 you spent on the coating is going to cost you additional money in wiper blade replacement, and the application process for the rinse aid solution is genuinely simple, requiring about 5 minutes of your time and a $2 bottle that will provide enough material for dozens of applications. You are going to mix 1 part rinse aid with 3 parts distilled water in a clean spray bottle. And the reason you are using distilled water rather than tap water is that tap water contains dissolved minerals that will leave spots on the glass when the solution dries, defeating the entire purpose of the application. So distilled water is essential, not optional, and once you have your solution mixed, you park your car in a shaded area or wait until the glass has cooled to ambient temperature. And this cooling requirement is not a minor detail. It is a critical safety precaution that you must take seriously. Because if you apply this solution to a windshield that has been sitting under direct sunlight, the glass surface temperature can exceed 160 degrees Fahrenheit, and at that temperature, the water carrier in your solution will evaporate almost instantaneously upon contact with the glass, leaving the concentrated raw surfactant chemistry in contact with microscopic pores in the glass surface before you have any opportunity to buff it off. And as those pores absorb the undiluted surfactant and the glass continues baking in the sun, you will develop a permanent white haze across the windshield that cannot be removed with glass cleaner or any standard detailing product. It bonds into the glass surface itself and requires a glass polishing compound and a machine polisher to remove, which is a repair that costs significantly more than $2 and requires either professional service or equipment most people do not own. So the application temperature requirement is completely non-negotiable. The glass must be cool and must be in the shade. And once you have confirmed the glass is at a safe temperature, you mist the solution evenly across the entire windshield, covering every inch of glass, including the edges near the trim where water tends to pool, and then immediately using a clean, dry microfiber towel, you buff the glass in circular overlapping motions until no moisture or residue remains and the glass is completely dry and clear. The buffing process should take about 60 to 90 seconds and should result in a glass surface that looks absolutely clean with no streaking, no haze, and no visible residue whatsoever. And if you hold a flashlight at an oblique angle across the glass and see any dull or milky areas, continue buffing because those areas indicate residue that was not fully worked into and off the surface. And once the application is complete and the glass is perfectly clear, drive the car into rain and watch what happens. The water will not bead, it will not form droplets. Instead, it will contact the glass and immediately spread and flatten and flow off the surface in continuous sheets. The optical quality of the glass will be essentially unaffected by the rain. Oncoming headlights will remain points of light rather than blooming starbursts, and your wipers, when you do use them, will glide silently and smoothly across the glass because there is no tacky chemical residue layer creating differential friction under the blade. Just clean treated glass and a rubber blade doing exactly what it was designed to do, and this effect will last for weeks to months depending on how often you use your washer fluid. Because unlike ceramic glass coatings, rinse aid surfactants are not chemically attacked by alcohol-based washer fluid. They are simply diluted and washed away gradually over time, which means the degradation is even and gradual rather than patchy and sudden. And when you notice the sheeting effect diminishing, you spend 30 seconds mixing a fresh batch and 5 minutes reapplying, costing you essentially nothing, compared to the $25 and 20 minutes required to strip, prep, and reapply a ceramic glass kit that will fail in the same time frame anyway. And the contrast between these two approaches is not just about money. Although saving $23 every 3 weeks is genuinely significant over the course of a year of driving, the contrast is about being sold a product that creates new problems versus discovering a solution that simply solves the original problem cleanly and completely without wiper chatter, without patchy degradation, without optical distortion from water beads, without the risk of stripping from your own washer fluid, and without the terrifying experience of driving in heavy night rain through a windshield that is supposed to be protected but is instead covered in tiny light scattering water lenses that turn every oncoming headlight into a vision obscuring explosion of scattered light. This is the kind of information that automotive detailing brands spend marketing budgets trying to make sure you never encounter. Because the $2 solution does not have a distribution deal with auto parts retailers, it does not pay for sponsored content, it does not have a sleek matte black bottle with carbon fiber graphics, it is just a bottle of rinse aid under your kitchen sink that has been quietly capable of solving this problem the entire time. You are spending money on products engineered to keep you buying replacements, and if you know someone in your life who hates driving in the rain, who has complained about wiper chatter, who has mentioned spending money on glass treatments that stopped working, share this video with them right now. Send it directly to them, because the information in this video is worth more than the $25 they will save on their next glass sealant purchase. It is worth the safety margin that comes from having genuinely clear vision in heavy rain at night, and that is something no amount of premium automotive marketing has ever actually delivered.